Yankee, Hotel, Foxtrot, Yankee, Hotel, Foxtrot.
Now let's look at what George Osborne and his independent Bank of England have created with their quantitative easing. Savers lose 43 billion pounds in slow-motion bank robbery, with worse to come. Savers have been stealthily robbed of 43 billion pounds of the real value of their savings since the Bank of England froze interest rates at 0.5% nearly 32 months ago, but there could be worse to come. So the average saver max has lost 2,500 pounds since the crisis.
Right. How does that work exactly? Let's review briefly. To keep the speculators sweet, to keep the cost of money near zero, Bank of England keeps rates near zero using quantitative easing. Osborne endorses it. In effect, those people with savings, the pensioners, the people who have worked all their lives with money in the bank that they anticipate to get a return on, end up subsidizing the speculators. Why doesn't Osborne just write a check to the terrorists around the world and say, here's the money. Please, I'm a submissive. Can you bomb me, please? Because that's exactly what he's doing economically speaking. He is forcing against the will of the hostages, that is the UK public, to pay for the speculators by keeping interest rates at zero. Keeping interest rates at zero, number one, it doesn't stimulate the economy, obviously, because the UK economy is going straight into the gutter. Number two, it only feeds the worst elements of the society that are causing the financial terrorism, the speculators. This is unconscionable. This man is a stark, raving lunatic that needs to be put in a straitjacket and thrown into the maze.
So the article says that the pensioners in particular are largely silent victims of the Bank of England's policy of running negative real interest rates. So here you see the pensioners that George Osborne claims to be supporting by being against the financial transaction tax. And yet, because of the speculation and the wild derivatives trading and disaster and fraud that his bankers who he submits, because of them, pensioners have already given up 43 billion pounds in only 3 years.
Let's flash to the Bank of New York story. For 30 years, according to Harry Markopoulos, who blew the whistle on Bernie Madoff, Bank of New York, which is a custodian for trillions of dollars of pension accounts, has been stealing 0.3% on every single transaction for 30 years. This is a $500 billion theft from savers. Is the stock trading down? Oh, it's trading up on the news because Osborne and Cameron and Obama and Bernanke submit fraud as their business model, and they're all submissive to the terrorists.
Let's move on to some more fraud and how no matter what, the savers always pay. MF Global clients may have to share cash. So remember, this is MF Global, which is a futures trading firm that went bankrupt. It was run by John Corzine, the former head of Goldman Sachs, the former governor of New Jersey, a former senator. The firm went bankrupt, and they're still missing $593 million of customer accounts, which they commingled with their own. And now the liquidator is saying that unless the missing cash is found, people hoping to recover 100 cents on the dollar may have to give up some of it to other customers, said Stephen Harbeck, the liquidator.
Well, this is beautiful because, remember, people were saying, the system is broken because they are privatizing capitalism while spreading the risk socialistically. The people have to bear the risk, and the insiders, the top 1%, take all the gains. And that was a bit of a concept, but now we have a direct evidence with MF Global. What they're saying is the insiders, including John Corzine, former Goldman Sachs guy, stole billions. And so the customers are going to have to pay for the other customers that have had their money stolen. So he didn't steal from every single customer. He stole from lots of customers. And the way they're going to bail these customers out is by having the customers that didn't have their money stolen from them to pay off, to share their money with the customers that did have their money paid off. What are they talking about here? They're going to share in the losses. What kind of ideology is that? How do they use, what propaganda are they using to get people to accept this as rational and okay? But the fact is that the tail is wagging the economic and financial dog around the world, and we're totally powerless against an entrenched kleptocracy with unlimited credit, 0% interest rates, with the central banks at their bidding, and politicians just basically lying down and doing nothing about it. So this is the new world order. It's complete manipulation, empowering. It's a kakistocracy. It's rule by the worst qualified. That's the global new world order. It's a kakistocracy. Rule by the stupidest and worst kleptocrats in the world.